Hey guys, Opal here and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in the Glade of Trust for a speed build, and this build is a Toontown. Now, my inspiration for this build is kind of like a rundown town, but it's still kept well by the villagers. They're trying their hardest to make it look cute still. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure you'll understand when I'm finished the build, kind of what I was going for. To start off the build, I placed down some centerpiece items like the fountains and the tower, and then I started laying down some fencing, and I used the new raw iron fencing from Remy's and also the new trees from the Mulan update. And I think these trees work really well in this biome. I think they really make the biome feel a lot more green and natural and not so dark. I also use the beach grass and forest developed bushes for this same purpose too. I didn't go too heavy on the foliage. Well, I did place foliage kind of everywhere, but what I mean is I only use these two pieces of foliage, just the beach grass and the bushes, and I think this really works well with this build. I think it looks really good, and yeah, I'm surprised how full and lush it looks. It doesn't feel empty even though we're only using two different bushes in this biome, which is pretty good honestly. For the centerpiece with the statue, I placed 4 bushes around the sides and then beach grass in the middle. I then put some fences around the sides, and I love these fences, especially in any sort of town build. They can really be styled up or down depending on the kind of vibe you're going for. And I just love how they light up. I think it's really awesome, and I'm really hoping for some similar sort of fences in the next update. I'm really just praying, honestly. For this town, I put a lot of flower pots in this build, and I think it really gives that like cozy town vibe. It looks a little bit funny here, but when the product is finished, I think it really works really well. I also decided to use Al's Toy Barn in this Toontown, which I think works perfectly. And I also used, what is his name? Buzz's caravan in this build too, because I think it kind of fits and I can never find a spot for him, so I thought this was a good area to put him. For his little area, I kind of just boxed around him, put some trees and foliage around his house, and just left it open. And it's really simple, but honestly it works pretty well. My whole thought process through this build only took me 20 minutes, which is just crazy to think about. But I really kept it simple, but in the end I think it really comes together well, which is really good. For this little lake area, I didn't do too much apart from put some grass and some bushes and kept it quite open. At the front of this little pond area, I put some seating and some bins, which I think really fill out the space, and yeah, I think it really complements the lake, having a little sitting area. For the lighting, I used this disheveled kind of Wally lamp, which I think looks quite good and it kind of gives that like rundown town look. I also decided to add a few random items like balloons here and there. This is the little sitting area I was talking about. I think it looks super cute, and I'm really glad that I went with the park benches for this build. I think it really looks nice and blends well into the grass. Of course, I also think that the red Mickey and Friends chairs would look cute, as well as just the normal brown bench. I think that brown bench really looks good anyway, you can't really go wrong with it. I also decided to place the Toontown washing machine and those little clock towers in the little park area. And I decided not to go with this fancy Mickey statue. Instead, I did another little sitting area and kind of had the same sort of style with the fences and the trees and the bushes, just to make it a little bit more cohesive, because I thought that the other fountain maybe looked a little bit too grand and out there, so I thought this was a better use of the space. Now, you're probably wondering where Minnie and Daisy are. I decided to keep the area just a little bit more separated from the rest of the town, and I also gave it a slightly different style to the rest of the town too. I think sometimes their houses are a little bit hard to incorporate in areas, so I decided the best thing would just to put them behind the Toontown, but they're still part of the Toontown. We're almost at that point in the build. I'm just adding some grates to the roads, which I think really bring the build together, make it feel a little bit more town-like. I also added a few more pots and flowers to this little sitting area, which I think really looks cute. I've been using so much of the pots recently. As you could probably see in my inventory, I crafted a whole bunch of foliage and pots because I think they really bring a lot to a build, and they're super easy to just place down randomly, and they always look good. Then a last little touch is adding a little bit of lighting to this little sitting area and just some extra beach grass. Now it's time for the Minnie and Daisy part of the build, and for this build I did more like a courtyard with their houses connecting, and of course I incorporated the cherry trees because I think they honestly work perfectly and I wouldn't know where else to put them, so I did put them here and in some of the corners just to kind of fill out the space. I did also delete the pathing underneath it just for a little bit of extra something to look at. I'm not sure, I always do this with my bushes and foliage. I think it just makes it look 10 times better. And then obviously I'm still using the same fencing around the perimeter just because I want this still to be in the Toontown, just not directly part of it, but I still wanted to keep the same style. I also just had to extend the pathing underneath the houses where the entrances were because I forgot to do this, but yeah, as you can see, this part of the build is really pink and I wanted to keep it that way. I wanted to embrace the pink. I did originally put down that green tree, but then I thought, why would I use a green tree when we have these beautiful pink trees that fit so perfectly? So I just placed these kind of around the perimeter of the build. Nothing too fancy, I just kind of filled up the space around the build. And for the center of the build, I wanted to do a clock tower, but I thought it might look a little bit weird. So instead I went with this really cute Mickey statue. And I had this idea of like having a kind of picnic area, so I used this like fairy core table and put some Mickey and Friends chairs around it, and I just think this is so cute. I'm just imagining them having little tea parties here. And then of course the little fountain in the middle right where you walk in, and then I just added some balloons, obviously pink because, you know, everything pink in this build because that's what they deserve. I'm really bringing the pink energy. I also decided to put some mushrooms around the perimeter, and this was honestly mostly for the lighting that it gives at night. Is just so beautiful, and yeah, I really wanted this to look beautiful at night. To blend them in, obviously I had to put beach grass because sometimes they can look a little bit too intense, I guess you could say. Yeah, this is the final build. I'll give you a little walkthrough so you can see what it looks like in game. Also, can you see that little square at the top of the screen? That's like a bug that I have in the game that won't go away. Anyway, it was gone now because I reset the game, but this is the final build. I think this is my favorite Toontown I've done. I don't think a lot of people will agree, but this is really my style, so I really love it, and I really don't want to delete it. I really want this build to stay in my valley. And I love how the flower pots look in this build. I think it gives it such a cozy vibe. Here is the little fire station, and we have this little sitting area with Goofies and Donalds. Doesn't his boat just fit perfectly? The only thing I wish is if you could still put it on land, that would be amazing. And then we have the girls area, very pink, colorful, lots of stuff going on, really in your face, but I think it works. Especially with the lanterns, I think they look so cute. And here are the builds at night. Very, very pretty. I love how it looks at night. And here is the main town square at night too. Here's some better shots of each little bit. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this gave you some inspiration and you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.